be.
From the studios of EWTN, this is Open Line. In North America, call toll-free 1-800-585-9396. That's 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985. You can also send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Hey everybody, welcome again to Open Line Tuesday here on EWTN, the Global Catholic Radio Network. As you know, on Tuesdays we take calls about life, whether it's a pro-life issue that's in the news or whether it's some event happening somewhere. This program is all over it, and we're going to open up the phone lines right now. 1-800-585-9396 if you have questions about anything dealing with the sanctity of life from conception to natural death. And what better host than our very own pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan. Hey, Barbara.
Hey, you're doing double duty today, Tom.
I am. Jack was called away on a family matter. Nothing bad. It's actually something very good
awesome.
Relating with his son. And so I'm glad to jump in here, and we'll take some of these questions on what's happening. And as you know, Barbara, there's always something. And this week in the news, it's spina bifida, something I have not really heard about for many years. What's on the news?
Okay, you know, Tom, when you've been a parent or a grandparent to a child that is diagnosed in the womb with a serious disability, the news that came out actually just yesterday from Houston just thrills your very soul, because you have to stop and think that spina bifida babies, 68% of these babies when diagnosed in the womb are aborted. So it is a very important surgery. Now we have this team of surgeons in Houston at Texas Children's Hospital, and they're operating on this tiny little patient who is in his mother's womb, right? And this little guy, less than 2 pounds, 24 weeks and 2 days old, he's in utero, of course, was diagnosed with spina bifida, which occurs early in a pregnancy when the tissue forming the spinal column should fold into a tube, but sometimes it doesn't close properly. There's like an opening. And this is not good because the nerves are exposed, and then some of the amniotic fluid can get in there when the baby gets bigger, and it's not good. So there are 1,500 to 2,000 cases a year in the United States, and when you consider 68% are aborted, it's so sad. So it's generally not fatal. I know a few children who have this, but the operations usually took place after birth. That's what the doctors did at that time. But often the children couldn't walk and had other serious problems as well. So now what they do, these surgeries repair the opening in the spine, and they have been performed since 1990. It's not a cure, but can lessen the degree of disability. So now in this case that just happened, Lexi Royer and her husband Joshua were dealing with their baby's defect, and it was very big, this opening, and very severe, and the brainstem was being pulled into the spinal column. And of course, and this is the other hard thing when you have a baby or grandbaby with something like this, termination, that's the word they use, was always offered, as you might expect. But because this little gal had a hard time getting pregnant to begin with, she was thinking that this was the only baby she may ever have. You never really know that, Tom. You never really know. So, but here's the amazing part. Okay, the surgeons made a wide incision in the mother's lower abdomen, right? And they lifted the uterus out of the mother. It was still attached internally. And that, but they, instead of operating inside the womb, they lifted the uterus out of the womb. I was looking at the picture. You know how when you punt a football, how you have it on like a stand? Well, they kind of had made a stand for this.
A tee.
Is that what it's called?
Well, I guess. I mean, in football, that's what it would be.
Okay, well, it was probably a little more involved than that, but I thought, gee whiz, that's kind of cool how they figured that out. And then they made 2 tiny 4-millimeter little slits, and they inserted a fetoscope, which is like a telescope fitted with a camera and a light and grasping tools and stuff. And then the second slit was for other miniature instruments. And what I thought was another cool thing, that lit from within when they got that light on and everything. The uterus glowed red and magical in the darkened room because they had a bunch of doctors and nurses in there watching this. So anyway, long story short, they were guided by images on the video screen. And this is something I thought was interesting too. They gave the baby an anesthetic injection. And I thought, see, they are totally aware about fetal pain.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
And I think, too, how many little unborns have no anesthetic whatsoever when they are aborted.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a success. It was a set. Now, the baby's not even due until January 14th. But already they can tell from ultrasound that he's moving his little ankles and his feet, like the gas pedal movement.
Sure.
So anyway, the mom said this is a very happy moment.
Well, praise God that we have such technology and that we can use this in the service of life.
It is amazing. It's amazing. And our little baby, little John Paul, he's now 9 years old. He is just intellectually brilliant like his father. He has a vibrant personality. He's a great little athlete to boot. And he was diagnosed at 5 months in utero with congenital diaphragmatic hernia. That's CDH is what they call it. And, the agony of this, because when he was born, C-section, of course, they have to be, we knew that he was not going to be able to cry. Because most of these babies, before they discovered what to do in this situation, these babies died because the diaphragmatic hernia is like a hole, an opening in the diaphragm, and the baby's organs grow up through that hole. And oftentimes they crowd the lungs. Our baby just had a lung and a quarter. Now he's got 2 full lungs.
Wow.
Once you make room, it'll continue to grow. Is that amazing? But so immediately after delivery, the baby can't cry because he may not have the lung capacity to do so.
Yeah.
So he's intubated immediately, and morphine, the wires, the machines. For 3 to 4 days, they get the baby all stabilized, and then they make a tiny incision, take him into surgery in the baby's little side, and without any scalpel, Tom, they repair the opening and see what organs need to be put in the proper place. And in our case, our baby, his lungs were just all squished together, and his heart needed to be repositioned in his little chest. So it was a miracle for us. And it's what God can do through these medical miracles. It's quite amazing.
Wow. Here's our phone number if you'd like to join in the conversation with our own pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan, here on Open Line Tuesday. 1-800-585-9396. 1-800-585-9396. When we come back, we're going to get to a text that we just got from John watching us on YouTube. We'll also talk about some of the other items that are in the news this week. Our producer, Michael McCall, brought something to our attention. I think we should give that some airing as well. 1-800-585-9396. Open Line Tuesday.
This is Matthew Bunson, co-host of Register Radio.
This is Lauren Ashburn, EWTN News Nightly anchor and managing editor.
This is Archbishop Robert Carlson, the Archbishop of St. Louis. Thanks for listening to EWTN Radio.
Father Mitch Pacwa.
On EWTN Open Line, we take your questions. This is kind of fun for me because it's how I started off in radio. There are lots of people who don't believe in God, and I pray for them. A non-Catholic, who, especially if they're Christians, they believe in Christ. They don't believe in the sacrifice of the Mass, but that's not going to stop me. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean?
Father Mitch Pacwa, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
The EWTN Warriors Rosary is a fitting tribute to all the spiritual warriors who have stood by us over the years. Handcrafted, each rosary is a unique creation. Get yours today. Visit EWTNRC.com.
60 on 10 with Monsignor Charles Pope.
The sixth commandment, you shall not commit adultery. This commandment is wide-ranging in its implications. It forbids us not only from committing the very act of adultery, but also other sexual sins such as fornication or premarital sex, watching pornography and speaking lewdly, Likewise, homosexual acts and acts of masturbation are also forbidden us. And the Lord himself even enjoins us to a purity of mind that we should not freely entertain lustful thoughts. And so it's wide-ranging, it's challenging, but it's in service of the great sacredness of human life which comes from sexual activity. So we thank God for this great gift of sexuality, and we ask for his grace to live it with great reverence. The sixth commandment, you shall not commit adultery.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Hey, the name of the show is Open Line, and that's what we've got for you right now. 1-800-585-9396. If you have a question or something that's on your mind to share with pro-life warrior Barbara McGuigan. 1-800-585-9396. Barbara, we just got a text from John watching us right now on YouTube. He says, pragmatically, has banning abortion been shown to improve societies as a whole, either sociologically or economically? What say you?
I would say both. I would say in both aspects, sociologically and economically, because when you have a culture that bans abortion, you know that that culture values human life, that they see life from the womb to the tomb as sacred, as coming from God. We came from God and we're going back to God. So your culture, I was trying to think of a culture that has completely banned abortion. And you know what, Tom? The only one that I can think of is Russia. When I was working for Father Marks, at that time, the average Russian woman had 8 abortions in her lifetime.
Wow.
They used abortion as birth control, which many people do here, I guess, as well, too. But and they did ban abortion in Russia because a child, a human being, because a child grows up to be an older human being, it is a country's greatest natural resource. So if you don't have enough people, you don't have enough natural resources to have a good economy. And to have, a good social culture that is, like I say, that sees the value of human life. It's very important.
And we're seeing this happen now in Europe, aren't we? It's like it's sort of like a nuclear winter.
It's a birth dearth, and you're right. And there used to be a video called, well, there probably still is, called Nuclear Winter. But I mean, it's terrible what has happened when you don't have children. But you know who does have children? Those who want to kill us. And this is really kind of sad, because if you look at the Muslim population in Europe, it is going strong.
It is booming. It definitely is. 1-800-585-9396. You have a question or comment for pro-life warrior Barbara McGuigan. 1-800-585-9396. Rod is checking us out on YouTube right now. He says, I am pro-life, but what information would help me decide not to abort? I feel like if I found out my baby would have a lifelong disease and was offered the choice to terminate, that I probably would. It hurts me to know this. I am weak.
Oh, Rod, you're very humble.
Yeah.
and you know what, though? We don't get the graces that we need until we need them, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you think, oh, well, if I was told that my baby was going to have spina bifida, as we talked about in the opening, or Down syndrome, or like my little grandson, CDH, very many people do not believe that they have what it takes to handle this situation. But God gives you the grace. I watched my daughter. She wanted to make sure that this baby had breast milk. Well, this baby was not in a position for 2 weeks to even nurse. And so she would pump. And then they would feed him intravenously at first. Sure. And then, he would take a little teeny tiny bottle. But God gives you the grace. God knows everything. He knows what's happening. He knows every situation. and he will give you whatever it takes to do such a thing, because all life is sacred, and that's really the bottom line. We are made in the image and likeness of God. This is why we can't say, well, I can't deal with this, so I'm going to do away with this little unborn baby. But God gives you the grace to do it.
Yeah, we've seen it time and time again. And by the way, if you disagree with what you're hearing on this very pro-life program, you are free to call us as well. 1-800-585-9396. Tell us why you're not pro-life. Tell us why you are pro-choice, or, use the terminology of your choice. 1-800-585-9396. Here's an email from Julia who says, how do we as Catholics approach people who think that abortion doesn't harm anyone and that it's the woman's choice, and that we are hurting women by not giving them this choice, especially when they don't consider a fetus a child? And
that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the beginning problem. They don't see life as sacred. Our great producer here, Michael, he sent me, because this is going all over Twitter, I guess this is a thought experiment. And this Patrick Tomlinson, I don't know, he's a comedian, sci-fi writer. I never heard of the dude, but anyway, he said that there is a very dangerous question that abortion foes refuse to answer. And I thought, okay, thank you, Michael, for sending me this. He said, whenever abortion comes up, I have a question I've been asking for 10 years now of the life begins at conception crowd. In 10 years, no one has ever answered it honestly. Okay, so right away, we want to know his question.
What's the question?
He said, would you save one 5-year-old child from a burning building or save 1,000 embryos? And his point he was making was no one actually thinks that embryos are the same as living children, but an entire movement, he's talking about the pro-life movement, is based on lying about it. God love this little guy. I don't know who he is, but I would love to be able to sit down and have some breakfast, lunch, and dinner with him, and maybe we could work all these things out. First of all, he's going back. What his question is really nothing new. It goes back to values clarification. That's what it made me think of right away. That I think was part of the self-esteem movement. It's a psychotherapy technique, Tom, that can often help an individual increase awareness of any values. That's where the term values, instead of virtue, that's when values started coming in.
Okay.
That may have a bearing, like you want to identify where your values are, what you really think. Now, obviously, in this situation, his values are a 5-year-old is much more important than 1,000 embryos. First of all, it's never going to happen, that situation, okay? It would never happen. And this is why the whole values clarification movement was just kind of ridiculous, because they would throw out all these hypothetical situations, and then you had to decide. Don't you remember this, Tom? 6 men in a boat, right? And two more are waiting on the shore. So who do you save, the 6 men in the boat, or do you run the risk of sinking the boat if you added 2 more men to it, right?
Man.
So these were always things that they would set up. But if you ask me, Patrick Tomlinson is putting up a smokescreen exactly with this experiment, because the bottom line is, what I would like to say to him first, before I get into the fact that the real question is, what is an unborn baby, right? Mm-hmm. Can you kill an unborn baby? And it depends almost entirely on the identity of the thing, if you want to call it that, being killed. See, this is like they say, if your little kid came in and said, "Mom, can I kill this?" Well, what is it? It would be the first question you would ask. What is it? Well, if it's a cockroach, of course you can kill it, right? If it's an animal of any kind, well, you can put it outside, you can do whatever, right? But if his 2-year-old little sister came in and said it's her, okay, now we've got a whole different ballgame here, right? Because now we're talking about human life. And this is what people need to understand. Abortion kills a human life. Abortion kills a baby. Where the pro-choicer would say, well, it's not a baby. A fetus can't even think or feel. But wait a minute. At conception, The 23 chromosomes from the mom and the 23 chromosomes from the dad come together, and, well, yeah, but yes, they make a new being who has 46 chromosomes and needs only food and nutrition to grow. It's a human being. And this is what it all comes down to. A fetus is what they will come back with is not a human being. It's a potential human being. No. It's a human being with potential. We were everyone who's walking on this mud ball has to say that they were once in utero. They were once a fetus, which just means little one to begin with.
That's right.
So if it's not a human being, then what is it? You know, what are you saying it is? Any geneticist can put some human tissue, human DNA under a microscope and see that it's not a gorilla, it's not a tomato, whatever, right? So it has 46 chromosomes. It has human DNA. That is a fact. We're done.
We're done. Barbara, I appreciate your bringing that to light there. Our phone number here, 1-800-585-9396. Do you have something to contribute to Open Line Tuesday? We'd love to hear from you, 1-800-585-9396. If you prefer, you could also send us a text. You can text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for the response and then text us your first name and your brief question. Message and data rates apply. Here's an email from John in Boise who says, I am a staunchly pro-life Protestant. I was listening to one of your earlier programs here on Open Line, and a caller asked you what should happen to women who would pursue an abortion if it were made illegal. You stated the woman would not be punished, but the doctor would.
Yes.
Now, I'm confused as to how that is just. The woman in such a scenario is an accessory to murder, so why would we not treat her as such?
Okay, you have to look at the woman as far as what her motives are. I mean, the whole thing is if abortion is banned, it is an illegal act. It's illegal. Like in Texas, for example, it is illegal to kill an unborn baby after 20 weeks. I don't know how many other states. There may be a few other states that have this sort of thing. But so you look at who is performing this illegal act, and that would be the abortionist.
Yeah.
So he's the one who would be arrested. We would not be arresting the mother.
Okay. Very good. Here's our phone number, 1-800-585-9396. It is Open Line Tuesday with your pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan, here on EWTN. Here's one now from Deborah. Yeah, I had to look for the name there. Barbara, thank you for your devotion to the plight and atrocities against the innocents. If you remember, way back in the 70s, Planned Parenthood was already on its evil course. It had just perpetuated its path of destruction toward the family unit, the moral fabric of this country. I strongly suggest all Catholics, Christians of all kinds, and Jewish religious communities announce from their pulpits a petition against this atrocity. Wow.
I totally agree. My goodness. I totally agree. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, it's unbelievable that this is still happening, Tom. I mean, now we're up to, over 60 million unborn children that have been killed in the United States alone. And that's not even counting all the chemical abortions, which is in the 200 and something thousand, 208,000. We've wiped out pretty much the whole United States, the population in the United States. So
and is this going to come back and bite us in the butt, in X number of years?
Of course it will. Of course it will. Where will all these people that will have to take over for us? And I mean, look what happens to a culture when that happens. So it's you don't have enough people, and I'm sure that's why in California everyone's fine here because of immigration. So we have people. But it's really unfortunate when you have a birth dearth, and it's what we have even in California among the Caucasian people.
Do you know the status of the Jane Doe that's seeking an abortion in a federal custody? Do you know about that?
I do. This is a story about a 17-year-old from Central America, and she's under federal custody in a shelter in Brownsville, Texas.
Right on the border, I believe.
Yep, and she's seeking an abortion, and she entered the United States in September and is in her 15th week of pregnancy. And as I said earlier, Texas bans most abortions after 20 weeks. So our bishops, thanks be to God, we have some great ones there, said no one, the government, private individuals, or organizations should be forced to be complicit in abortion, because what they're trying to do, the ACLU, right, is backing this teen immigrant in the country illegally, and also they're saying that I think now they moved it into the Department of Health and Human Services until October 31st.
Okay.
So Texas backed them up to find a sponsor to take custody of this girl.
Okay, very good. Thanks for the update on that. When we come back from our quick break, we'll be taking your phone calls, 1-800-585-9396. 1-800-585-9396. It is Open Line Tuesday with our pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan.
It's back, a rock-solid favorite with a dynamic new look. Life on the Rock with Father Mark and the Franciscan Missionaries. Loaded with compelling interviews, authoritative insights, and much more. Their mission? To engage Catholics in the new evangelization. The all-new Life on the Rock with Father Mark and the Franciscan Friars of the Eternal Word. Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern on EWTN. Life on the Rock.
Jesus called the Holy Spirit the Advocate. An advocate is one who builds you up. He's got your back, and he'll go to bat for you. The opposite of an advocate is an accuser. Revelation calls the devil the accuser. An accuser deflates you and rips you down. You are in the midst of an epic spiritual battle between the advocate and the accuser, and the battlefront is your mind. Have you been listening to the accuser who tells you you're broken and can't be fixed? Your marriage isn't worth fighting for. You don't matter. The whole story of your life is defined by the worst page. The advocate wants you to face today with the confidence and security that comes from knowing you're a beloved child of God, a God who has your best interest in mind and who has destined you for eternal glory. Which voice will you listen to? Whose side are you going to be on today? This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
You know, I have never seen women who want to be equal absolutely degrading themselves. And yet the media degrades your nature, your beauty as a woman, your goodness. Let us pray at some point our dear Lord touches their hearts.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@EWTN.com.
If you're ready now, let's get to the phones at 1-800-585-9396. We begin with Debbie in Pensacola, listening to us on Guadalupe Radio. Hey, Debbie, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Debbie.
Well, what I was saying, and I hope that because I'm talking to you through my car phone, is when I'm very much pro-life, I feel that abortion is extremely wrong. I'm new to the Catholic faith, but I've always felt this way. When you allow abortions in this country, then on one hand, you're allowing the abortion. On the other hand, a woman's in a car wreck or in some other situation where the fetus, the unborn child is killed, then the perpetrator, the other person that may have caused the wreck or whatever, then is held for manslaughter.
That's
How
right.
can you have it both ways?
Good question, Debbie. Schizophrenic thinking, huh? Schizophrenic thinking. And it really is, it's sad that, it's good that they look at it that way, but it depends on the mother's choice, her reproductive rights. This is the whole fallacy. This is the lie from the pit that people believe, that a woman has control over her unborn baby's life. Because she doesn't. All life comes from God. And she's not asked to raise that baby. She's not asked that at all, right, Tom?
This actually is very interesting, Barbara, because as you know, my wife and I are involved with the local crisis pregnancy center here in town. And my wife works there as a volunteer every Monday, and she's doing direct counseling. She's on the firing line, and some days she comes home, she's very happy. Other days, not so much. But God bless her for being in there each and every Monday. So I've been trying to think of a way I could give her some ammunition. And one of my cheesy analogies that I came up with, because a lot of these girls are very young, they're scared, they don't know. Maybe they're living in an apartment. And I said, well, a tenant of an apartment has rights. Just like the landlord has rights.
Cute.
The landlord cannot just barge in there at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I left my screwdriver here. No, he has to come in at a decent hour and all these other things. So, if the mother, the mother in this case, granted, this is a horrible analogy. The mother is the landlord in this, in my goofy analogy, and the tenant has rights.
Yes, and that's the baby. The baby has the right to at least be born, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
And you don't have to raise the child. There's so many people on adoption lists, but because there are so many abortions, it's not easy. There aren't that many babies to be adopted these days.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful gift when people do.
Yes, indeed. Debbie, thank you so much for your call. That opens a line for you now, 1-800-585-9396. Looks like we have one or two lines open right now, 1-800-585-9396. Trevor is watching us on YouTube. Trevor says, are there any pro-life marches going on in Western Canada that you know of?
At this time?
I guess that's the. Do you know of any? Do you know of any that are?
I really don't. I'd like to hear if there were, though. That would be a good thing. I mean, he's talking Vancouver in that area there.
Probably so.
I know they have great pro-lifers there. I've been up there speaking plenty of times,
Better
and I
believe
know they have very good pro-lifers. So I would imagine, especially around the time of January 22nd, when Roe was legalized, abortion was legalized, I bet they do have marches. Sure.
Could be. Kelly is on Facebook right now. Kelly says, could you please clarify the choice of saving the baby over the mother if all life is sacred? What if the mother is the only parent and the baby will grow up in foster care? I'm pro-life, but maybe some are confused on this.
Okay, it's and I've talked to many pro-lifers about this, pro-life doctors as well, about this situation. It's very rare, first of all. The doctors strive to save both the mother and the baby. And it is, unless the mother says, like St. Gianna Molla, unless she says, whatever happens, she told her husband, make sure the baby can be born.
Sure.
So sometimes it's a mother's decision to say, let me go take the baby. But that's very rare too, because usually the mother, because she is older and she's not just this tiny little human being, she has a better chance of survival for that reason.
Yeah.
And so often it is more the baby than the mother. But the object is never to kill one or the other. It's like a 50-50 thing. Who do I let go?
Yeah.
The mom or the baby? No.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not the object.
Kelly, thanks for checking us out today on Facebook. Our phone number here, 1-800-585-9396. Open Line Tuesday with Barbara McGuigan, 1-800-585-9396. Jeff is listening to us in Gaylord, Michigan on Baraga Broadcasting. Hey, Jeff, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Jeff.
How you doing? Enjoying the conversation so far today?
Thank you.
Thank you. How can we help?
I haven't really a question. I want to get your comment on how we should actually go about finding a resolve to this situation? Because most people nowadays, when they think about abortions, the first thing that comes in is, lower class people, girls that are homeless or teens or whatever. But a lot of the issues stem from where we stand as individual states. There's some states that approve of it, some states that don't.
Yes.
And somebody emailed and had an idea about putting petitions forward, just like in California and other states where they approved marijuana, which was petitioned by each state. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should do this as individual states, put forth petitions as individuals to put on ballots, so that way each state can go ahead and have our voters say, look, we don't want abortion legal in our state anymore.
Yep.
And if we could do that, I think our politicians in this country would change their mind and they would get a greater view of what us, the people, actually want.
Yes.
What's your view on that?
Well, yeah, and I think that is pretty much what our president wants, don't you think, Tom? He wants to give this whole abortion ban or whatever a state can do, the laws that you can pass, whatever you can pass to save lives, give it back to the state. That it's not a Supreme Court, 7 out of the 9 justices. And really, I mean, when you look at the flawed law that Roe v. Wade was, I mean, it should be overturned. I mean, really, it is now that we have such developments with fetal development, and we know, I mean, even this whole scientific new spark that they see when the sperm meets the egg, they're thinking really that the heartbeat might even be earlier than 18 days after conception. And this is science. This isn't something the Catholic Church made up or the Bible says or anything like that. This is science that is talking about these things. So yeah, give it back to the states, and there will be states like the state of California, I'm sure, who would probably keep abortion legal because of the politics. But there will also be many states that would overturn it. They would overturn Roe v. Wade.
That's true.
So I do think that, but boy, Jeff, this is not easy. You know why, good man? We are fighting powers and principalities. If we were fighting mere human beings on this abortion issue, we would have won a long time ago. But we're not. We are fighting devils. And that's the God's honest truth.
Jeff, thank you so much for your call. 1-800-585-9396 if you'd like to jump in here with us. 1-800-585-9396. Tony is listening in San Antonio on Guadalupe Radio. Hey there, Tony. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Tony.
Hi, I have a question. If I understood it a while ago, somebody said that if a woman had an abortion, that the doctor would be guilty, the doctor would be arrested, the woman would be innocent and set free. Did I understand that right?
Yes, the woman is not it would not be arrested. No.
This is in the case that abortion were illegal, which it is not.
That's right.
Okay, whether abortion is legal or illegal, the woman is still guilty. The woman consented to the pregnancy in the first place. She went to the doctor to want to get an abortion. She's willing to kill the baby, and you're telling me that she's innocent?
Well, you know what? We can't really say, Tony, we can't determine the motives of another human being. We can try. We can look at the background. We can walk in the shoes of these poor young women. But I have counseled enough of them, Tony. They are beset and besieged with fear. They have incredible fear. They have a boyfriend who has threatened them in one way or another, or kicked them out of the house. This is why we have, I don't know how many it is now, Tom, maybe you know the number of resource centers, pro-life resource centers that take care of these young women because they've been kicked out. They're in a terrible state. And here they are, pregnant with a little baby, and they just don't know what to do. They are frightened to death. And so this is why we pro-lifers have to answer that fear. We have to surround them with love and also with direction. And we have to help them walk every step of the way. They will have their own guilt, trust me, Tony, as we all do when we commit a serious sin. They will have their own guilt, and this is also what we try to do. We try to talk about God's healing love and forgiveness so they can wash away that guilt. Like you've heard me say a million times if you listen. God can take any bloody crucifixion and turn it into a clean, healthy scar.
Beautiful. Tony, thank you so much for your call. We do appreciate it. Our phone number here at EWTN's Open Line Tuesday, 1-800-585-9396. If you have a question or a comment, something's on your mind regarding life, from conception to natural death, 1-800-585-9396. Hey, have you heard about Amazon Echo? I can speak about this. Michael McCall just brought me the copy for it, but I can just tell you from my own experience, this is a wonderful thing to have in your home, in your business, and it's a great way to listen to EWTN. Here's all you do. You get the Amazon, either the Echo, the big tube, or the Dot, which is about the size of about a hockey puck, I guess. And then once you've got it all set up, you just say, Alexa, play EWTN radio, and boom, it starts playing your latest, whatever's on the air right at that exact moment. It's a wonderful way to, share EWTN with perhaps family and friends in other cities that don't have an AM and FM station near you. So think about it. Go to your store, look for the Amazon Echo today. It is a very cool device and a great way to share EWTN, which, after all, is everywhere. Right, Barbara?
That's for sure.
It's everywhere. Hey, we have a question here from Jonathan, who sent us email. He says, my sister is using birth control pills named Mononessa, but she's not using them as birth control. She is using them for hormonal imbalance. So my question is, what other kinds of medicine can she use without using Mononessa? If she does not take the pills, she has periods at least 2 times a month. She gets angry very easily and other stuff that I could mention. But when she takes the pill, she's actually quite normal. Please help. Thank you, Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan. Okay, birth control pills. I've never heard of that particular one, so I can't really speak to that particular one. But birth controls, there are many doctors who will prescribe these, but the pro-life doctors that I know will not. And there are other methods. If you go to Napro Technology, Dr. Hilger's there. He has another regimen that the woman can get on, and it will help to balance the hormones. It's because some women really have difficult trials with this sort of thing, and some don't. But there are natural methods. There are other methods. Dr. Kalenborn, Kahlenborn. He is wonderful, and he also has a routine that he would put these young women on especially.
Okay, very good. Hey, we've got a phone line open for you right now, 1-800-585-9396. 1-800-585-9396. Barbara, here's a question for you. This is actually from our own producer, Michael. He wants to know if you have heard anything about pro-life advertising being blocked on social media, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or whatever.
Oh, you better know it, and it just jars my apple butter every time I see it. And that has been going on right of late. I'm trying to think of exactly, was it Google? I hate to point my finger at anyone social media since I don't know exactly which one it was, but it might have been Facebook. I can't remember, but it is wrong. It is unfair. And, this we're not turning into a police state, I hope.
Our producer, Michael, says that the Susan B. Anthony list was blocked on Twitter. I remember hearing about that Twitter. A couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yes. I've heard about it on other sites, though, too. It's starting to become a little bit more popular, but it's wrong. And I know recently, was it Facebook maybe? They turned around. They changed their tune. Maybe it was Google. Where they said, okay, you can advertise on this. I guess someone got to them and talked sense.
Well, let's hope so. Our phone number here, 1-800-585-9396. JB says, I hope you'll answer this email for us. I have a daughter about to enter college. As a baby, she received the chickenpox vaccine. Back then, it was a new thing at the time, and it was required. Now, states and others are requiring a second dose of the vaccine as these children progress through the education system. Now, I'm really on the fence about this because, number one, I fear that the vaccine contains aborted fetal lines, and two, if I did not get her the vaccine as a woman, if the original vaccine didn't take care of what it was supposed to do and she doesn't follow up with a dose, I'm concerned that in her childbearing years she could get chickenpox and therefore expose an unborn baby that she might be carrying into a life-threatening situation. Could you please discuss this for us?
You know, I'm really wondering if they are not working on a drug so far, because really the chickenpox vaccine is made still with fetal DNA and fetal cells. And but I'm confused as to why that's coming back now, where they want to give them a second dose. I mean, if you heard that there was an onslaught of chickenpox in babies, because it is serious for a mother who's pregnant to catch chickenpox. But have you heard anything, Tom, where it's an onslaught? It's going to be a plague or something?
I have not.
I don't know why they're coming back with it.
I don't know.
I don't know. But what I would do is go to Children of God, COG for FOR Life, LIFE.org. Children of God for Life. And Debbie Vintage is my good buddy, and she will have a very good information on that, I'm sure.
There you go. Appreciate your email. And let's go back to the phones, talk with Carol in Noblesville, Indiana, listening on Catholic Radio Indy. Hey, Carol, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Carol.
Hello. I just wanted to share some positive things about reasons why you should not abort. Number one is I had a young mother, my mother, who attempted to abort me 70 years ago.
Oh,
and
goodness.
She was not successful, fortunately, and at 80 years old, I became her godmother.
Wow.
So there was a reason I needed to be born. And a lot of these young women don't, and I don't even want to say young women, because I know older women panic and have abortions.
Yes.
And they need to take into consideration the world is not about them, it's about what's about to happen with the future.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is I'm from Chicago originally, and I used to go to Science and Industry all the time and see their prenatal development section.
Yes.
And while the news keeps that a silent secret, I don't know, because since 1946, we know that life begins at insemination. And why they have to debate it, all they need to do is go visit the museum.
You're so right. You're so right.
Wow.
Well, I'm so thankful that you are here with us today, Carol, and I'm sure your mother was too. You know, like I say, these young ones, they really don't know. They are so programmed by Planned Parenthood these days, and depending on where they go to school,
what to do, and we don't have to do what they tell us.
That's right. That's right. But if you don't have the backup in your family, right, among your friends, your environment, if your environment is all so pro-choice, right, this is a problem. You really do. And this is why it's important that as parents, we influence our children and we teach them so that we form them in all that is good, true, and beautiful, so that they know why life is sacred, why we came from God and we're going back to God. All of these things are important, why we were given a mission in life. And so you have to be informed, right?
Correct. And there's books out there by a lot of good people who even talk about Hitler and how Margaret Sanger were all working together on this plan.
So right.
Absolutely.
Carol, I wish you were everybody's mom. That would have been great for you to teach them all that stuff.
Carol, thank you so much for your call. We appreciate that. Let's go to Jennifer in Indianapolis, also listening on Catholic Radio Indy. Jennifer, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. I was just going to answer a previous caller's question on the legality of abortion and why women weren't or wouldn't be prosecuted should abortion be illegal. In the past, at least, it was because they were assumed to have been coerced into the abortion, and so their
Good point.
ability to consent was damaged in some way. So that was why, and that's why they wouldn't be prosecuted if abortion were made illegal again. And then the second thing was the birth control.
Yes.
I was actually that guy's sister. The same thing was told to me, and I was put on birth control as a teenager to regulate my periods and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
My current doctor is a NAPRO-certified doctor, and she said that if anything, it made it worse and made the childbearing, like I've had difficulty maintaining my pregnancies. I've had to be on progesterone shots. I had to, I actually had an ectopic pregnancy, which could have been caused by scarring in my tubes.
That's true.
Possibly from ovarian cysts or other things that the birth control could have caused.
Yes.
And then the third thing, somebody just called it. I was going to say something else, but I think it was on... I forget now. I'm sorry. But those are the two things, just to answer a couple questions that I think came
all
up.
right. And thank you. And I hear a little tiny voice in the background. So praise God you do have some children, yes?
Yeah, that's my daughter.
Oh,
Great.
that's wonderful.
Jennifer, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
God bless you, dear heart.
It's Open Line Tuesday here on EWTN. We go to Susan in Burlington, New Jersey, listening on Sirius XM 130. Susan, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Susan.
Hi, just kind of the same thing. I just wanted to put it out there. Maybe it's already been already, but for a lot of listeners who are raised kind of in my generation, late 20s kind of stuff, growing up in the public school system, you don't really get that education as a woman that your hormones aren't this black and white thing in their textbook. So as an adult and going through like our pre-K stuff, it was really interesting and shocking to find out that, not everybody's hormones and cycles and stuff are the same. So for the guys and the girls out there who may be having problems, or significant others having problems, really look into that natural family planning or the NAPRO technology and stuff like that, because what a lot of women don't realize is that it's usually crazy, irregular hormones are like a mask of something more serious going on that can pop up later. And so to really get that stuff nailed down, and that birth control, while it may work to fix those things, it's just a Band-Aid, and it's just masking a little kind of tiny time bomb. And I had a lot of pushback when I had some cyst problems, and it was really kind of a little disheartening when they say there are no other options, et cetera. But often doctors, they're not even briefed on this kind of stuff, and they don't know better. So don't get frustrated. Sometimes they just don't know. It's lack of information. But really seek out those pro-life doctors for sure.
Oh, Susan, you need to be out there speaking, dear heart. Really, this is important. You know your stuff, and you need to tell it. You need to get it out there. I'm sure you do in your own sphere of influence, right?
I'm trying to tell my friends. I'm trying to get them on the NSP train.
Good. Good Susan, you're doing God's work there. Thank you so much for your call. And, Barbara, it's also true that many crisis pregnancy centers, are starting to rebrand themselves as pregnancy centers, taking out the crisis part so that everybody feels welcome. And those are also great resources, right?
And I'm happy they do that.
Sure.
I'm happy because that is a pregnancy resource center is what they're called now.
There you go. And you've got the Good Fight coming up this weekend, Saturday afternoon, right?
I do. We have Greg and Julie, the Alexanders, are going to be on to talk about their new marriage course. It's going to be wonderful.
Looking forward to that. Barbara McGuigan, thank you as always. Have a great week, Barbara.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Tom.
My thanks also to Michael McCall and Matt Kabinski. Tomorrow at the same time, it's going to be Jack Williams back with our dear friend, Father Mitch Pacwa, on Open Line Wednesday. I'm Tom Price. We'll see you tomorrow on Call to Communion. Have a great day. God bless.